Hello everyone, Nick Hustedde here, Technical Service Manager for FMC. Today we're in Southern Illinois investigating a wheat field that's in the Aphids 3 growth stage, and we're getting ready to make our nitrogen application. So there's several pests that we should be mindful of at this point in the season. Right now we're looking for our weed species. We are seeing a fair amount of common chickweed, henbit, as well as small flower bittercress. And we're always on the lookout for wild garlic, as we understand that weed can cause dockage at harvest if we do allow it to escape. So some other pests that we're looking for certainly is our disease spectrum. We are seeing a fair amount of septorial leaf blotch in this field, a little bit of powdery mildew, but we're also investigating this field for common rust. Certainly the predominant disease in this field at this time would be our septoria leaf blotch. So another pest that we're concerned about would be aphids, and oftentimes this time of the year we will find bird cherry-ode aphids, as well as maybe some English grain aphids that could be migrating in, and both of those can vector the barley yellow dwarf virus. But when we investigate these plants for aphids, we typically look at the leaves near the soil line, peel them back, and check the leaf sheaths and collars, as that's where they can often congregate. So in terms of thresholds for aphids, right now we can handle about 10 per foot of row. If we're exceeding that limit, we would pull the trigger for our insecticide application. So as we get into our recommendations for herbicides, typically we'll recommend Harmony Extra applied at the 3/4 ounce use rate. That's going to allow enough active ingredient of the thifensulfuron component to provide activity on our wild garlic populations, as well as manage the overall winter annual complex. So in many cases, the Harmony Extra will be tank mixed with our nitrogen source, and there's some caveats around adjuvant selection. So if our nitrogen source is 50% or less of the total carrier, we would recommend a pint per 100 for non-ionic surfactant, and if that carrier is 50% or more for that nitrogen source, we wouldn't require additional adjuvant. So when we think about tank mixing that Harmony Extra with our nitrogen source, we certainly want to pre-slurry it, as it's a dry formulation in water, before we add it to that nitrogen. And then as we consider the temperature when we're making the treatment, we want it to be above 50 degrees with good sunlight intensity, and that's going to allow for optimized absorption and translocation in the targeted weed species and improve our consistency of results. So another weed species that I'm concerned about at this point in the season would be crestleaf groundsel. Oftentimes we'll find it for wheat planted after corn stalks, and Harmony Extra is not going to be as strong on that particular species, so we do recommend the addition of 2,4-D to pick it up. So when we get into our disease management recommendations, we will recommend Top Guard fungicide applied at 5 to 7 ounces. When we make that treatment at green up, oftentimes we'll see enough translocation up and out with that transpiration stream to manage the foliar diseases that we mentioned previously, up until we make that flowering treatment for head scab. So really a clean, stay clean strategy as we think about managing our fungal pathogens. So getting into our insecticide recommendation, we're going to focus on Mustang Max applied at 4 ounces per acre, and that's going to do a nice job on the overall insect complex. So as we kind of gear up to make our nitrogen applications, and I think it's important to take advantage of that planned trip and scout for any pests that might be present in these wheat fields, and again, address them through that planned application. So I really appreciate you taking time to watch this video today, and I wish you the best this spring.